Hello, folks. Back again with ancient cosmography. So, this is from the 7,000-year-old paintings at Tassili in Alger, or however you pronounce that, in Algeria. Which looks, it's in the same style as the other, ancient zoomorphic avatars of islands and whatnot. So I was comparing this. So I found that this was at least a decent match for São Nicolau Island in Cape Verde off the coast of West Africa. You know, I'm not sure if the head would be fully delineated or maybe, but it could be mostly symbolic and mostly the neck is what's depicted. The angle here is not, of course, quite like this angle there. There seems also maybe at least an outside chance that it's this island. I think this is Cyprus in the Mediterranean. But that this angle would be a little better for this, but the rest of it would arguably be worse of a match. So who knows? Could be one of those, could be something else, but it certainly looks like a terrestrial avatar, geographic avatar. Here's another one from Tassili that, it's a possibility. There's a good chance it's not this. These are just kind of the first possible matches that I found, but if it is this, it would be like, this part is this part here, and this part here is like the face, and maybe this arm is like this weird little peninsula here, and then this would be an ear, and then these pointy parts would be the horns. But it's it's hard to know because the shape here doesn't match as well, so could be something else, but it certainly looks like this type of thing, like some kind of terrestrial avatar. Because I think like most of these ancient zoomorphic depictions are are maps, like either maps of the earth or maps of the sky. And so this, to me, it doesn't look like a constellation, because a constellation wouldn't probably have all these weird details in it, because it would just focus on whatever are the stars in it. So, that's a way to sometimes distinguish the celestial avatars from the terrestrial ones, as the terrestrial ones are often much more detailed because, we know more details about stuff on Earth. So yeah, there you go. This, I was thinking that there's a chance this is Australia, and that it's this shape here is like Cape York, which does somewhat have that shape, like at the end. It's not a great, like a bigger image of it. This is another, I think this is from Çatalhöyük, Turkey. So I was thinking, there's a chance that maybe this was Cyprus, which is nearby, but it's hard to know. It has some similarities, but it has a lot of differences, so who knows? Yeah, maybe I should compare that to the other one. Anyway. So, but yeah, this one, I'm not really sure. Like, I think this is the oldest cave painting on Earth, or it's considered to be the oldest cave painting on Earth. And it's from Indonesia, from the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia. So yeah, it's supposed to be 45,000 years old by, I guess, the most mainstream estimates. So I was thinking that this is Australia. This might be like New Zealand. This might be, maybe this is Papua. Or maybe this is, yeah, I don't know what all these things are. But my guess is that it's islands around there, but who knows? It could be islands somewhere else too. I mean, certainly people were sailing to Papua and to Australia like, 50,000 years ago, and they were sailing. There's reason to believe people were sailing for over 100,000 years. That maybe, that Cro-Magnon and not only Cro-Magnon, but also Neanderthal and maybe even Homo erectus sailed. And let's see, this is an earlier avatar of Australia. I was going to compare it to the more recent avatars of Australia, if I even have them. Well, like this. This is, this is much less recent, but a more recent discovery, or actually a less recent discovery, because I think I originally discovered this in 2020, but it's more recent that I can really confirm it better because I understand the system more. So it no longer is impediment, the fact that Australia is oriented one way and then these other islands are flipped the other way, because I now understand through the Egyptian system that that was a common practice, or certainly was an ancient practice. But yeah, just to show that, Australia was shown as a horned animal, just as it is here. It's the only one of these that has horns. And so this could show some sort of continuity of tradition. But in this one, this is Australia. This is Cape York right here. Is his face, and then his horns are Great Barrier Reef. His legs seem to be Cobourg Peninsula and maybe the Tiwi Islands, and his arm over here seems to be York Peninsula, and then he's holding Sulawesi here, and then Kalimantan, Indonesia here is also holding Sulawesi, because this is like the mascot of the area. And then the Philippines is holding, I think it's called Palawan. And then Papua is also holding Palawan. And maybe just to signify that they're kind of close together. And then New Zealand, who knows what all that signifies, because New Zealand is holding two Sulawesis, even though it's even further from Sulawesi than Papua or the Philippines, so who knows. But so yeah, these islands, Sulawesi here, that's where that oldest cave painting on Earth is, or the oldest cave paintings on Earth are on that island. And I think that just as in this one, the Philippines is shown differently because it's a bunch of different islands. So it's like, instead of just being, solid black lines for the coasts and then blank in the middle like these ones, it's just a bunch of like kind of black and white marks there showing that it's a bunch of different islands. It shows it more solidly like around Luzon and Mindanao, and Sulawesi, but the rest of it is very choppy in there. So that matches to this version where all three of these guys are shown with this crisscross pattern, but only the Philippines actually has it, more boldly painted, whereas these are just lightly painted because they're associated with the Philippines and they're in the same area. But this one, it seems like it's darkly painted to signify this is made up of a bunch of different islands. And this one is like a bit bigger, it has more of a hunchback, which is closer to Kalimantan here. And so, yeah. So there's a commonality that they show the Philippines to be in a different way, signifying that it's made up of a bunch of different islands. And let's see, these are just some things to show people what Europeans used to look like, not very long ago. Well, a couple thousand years ago, I guess, or maybe 3,000 years ago. This is like Greek, I think, or maybe Etruscan. So, a lot of people think like that Europe has always been populated by white people, but that's not true. And anybody who's familiar with art history knows that's not true. There's a Greek god, and so yeah, this might be could be a depiction of Madagascar, the 12,000-year-old Craswell Crags in England. And if so, maybe this line right here signifies this. I guess it must be a mountain range, or unless it's a waterway or something. That's this dark line here on the satellite image. Let's see. The island of New Guinea is often visualized as being in the shape of a bird, with the Bird's Head Peninsula being at the northwest end of the island and Bird's Tail Peninsula at the southeast end. So that just confirms that people still do what they've done throughout history and prehistory, which is zoomorphize islands. And he was shown as a birdman in the Lascaux depiction, of course. And the Bird's Head Peninsula is his head in that. Let's see. So this is Papua in a different form, a non-avian, non-bird form. And So, and it's interesting because this is 30,000 years old, between 30,000 and 32,000 years old from Chauvet Cave in France. And then this is from Hierakonpolis, Egypt, tomb 100, the oldest painted tomb, which is only 5,500 years old, almost into the Bronze Age. So, what it seems to suggest is that the Egyptian, tomb 100 at Hierakonpolis is basically more traditional potentially than Lascaux, because Lascaux depicts depicts Papua as the Birdman, and wherever this went, but yeah, so here it reverts back to basically this earlier form. I mean, it's not exactly the same, of course, but it's much closer compared to the Birdman form, where the focus is really on this bay right here, this gulf, which is not so much the case in the Birdman depiction. It kind of doesn't focus on the shape of that very much. And so, similarities are that this, instead of in the Birdman one, this is the bird's head, this is the Birdman's phallus, this is his legs. In these avatars, this peninsula or Dahlak Island or whatever is his front haunches. And like in this one, they're just kind of woven together, crossed to make that shape. In this one, they're kind of separated out, but it seems to represent the main kind of Dahlak Island there as the wider one, and then the thin part on this side of it, which just represents this. Well, it's can't really show it very well. Well, I guess there, delineated by this line right here. So like on this side of it, it's technically considered the peninsula, and then this part is technically considered the island. So this one is the wider one, this one, and then this part is thinner, so that would be this part. And then they both have this type of arch in the back, which is pretty mild in the actual genuine article here. Like it does kind of dip down slightly between here and there, but just ever so slightly. But for whatever reason, I think these maps were made with a focus on this area around here. So the little dip was made into a big dip here and here. And then this part is just like the back legs. And, they seem to make, depict this gulf right here and even here that depicts it pretty well. But yeah, here it just like focuses on this gulf as this black part, and then this little island right here that's almost attached seems to be his ear there, or whatever that is. And whereas in this one, it's probably this little line here is representing that. So yeah, and both of these kind of subsume this, Bird's Beak Peninsula into Bird's Head Peninsula, whereas the Birdman separates them out, the Birdman avatar. So that to me is interesting. It shows this type of continuity in the Egyptian culture. And let's see. Well, this I was just showing. I was going to show that this guy might be the one referred to in the Book of Two Ways as the one whose face is in his knee, because this is like his beard and stuff. And actually in here I think it cut off this island, which is actually depicted in the original but not in this reconstruction. This is his hat and his throne and this bird and everything and this other island. But I did actually find a depiction, or just I took a picture